Hi, friends and family.
Hello.
Hope you're doing wonderful wherever this video is catching you, and hope you are enjoying a cup of coffee or iced tea or water with us as we talk through this video today with you. Really just here today, just sharing with the people we love and that have been a part of our lives for many, many years now, and obviously walked through us with a lot of things in our singleness and in marriage together. And today why are we making this video for you? Really, it's to share with you the journey that God has taken us on in our family that has led us to the point of today entering into the adoption process and really saying yes to the Lord in that process, and just giving some backstory on that and really explaining more about the true nature of what adoption is, the real raw and beautiful story that adoption is in general, but then also as it pertains to our life. I want to shed some more light on that and ultimately point to God's glory and give him all of the praise and honor in this situation by inviting you guys into the story and just letting you be part of our journey as we process through things and just as we go through each step of this process. Yeah. And so really want to just give you some more insight on that, our journey piece, which Andrea will touch on after, and really tell you kind of where we are today, the agency that we're with, and kind of what lies ahead for our journey and some of the things that we'll be doing in the next few months. And then, just include you guys in that. So, through a lot of amazing Lord-ordained events, through friends and just connections, we slowly had our heart just awakened and turned to New Life, the adoption agency. They're here in Tomball. We just had heard so many great things, had experienced other people's journeys with them, and got to hear some of those stories, and ultimately for ourselves decided that we wanted to pursue going through the New Life. And so we committed to that and have recently just officially begun the actual process, so said yes to it. And now some of the things that lie ahead are just a full application, doing the home study. There's some trainings that we have to do along the way, some books that Andrea and I'll have to read, really just for our own selves and learning, and hoping that the Lord will move through some of that as well and opening our hearts to more things that he's going to show us. And then we submit a profile book at the end once we're approved, and then at that point we'll be open to being shown to birth families and have the ability to be matched. So kind of timeline is up to us, and we will look forward to keeping everyone in the loop and engaged through the process as we progress and as events unfold and just as things develop. And we're really excited and honored to bring you guys along and really just share in this marvelous, wonderful story that the Lord's going to do in our lives. I'll let Andrea expand on our story.
Yes. That's great. And we just love you guys. And, just like Nick said, we want you guys to be a part of this journey with us. Just sharing a little bit of background. I know a lot of people know some of our story, and this is kind of the hardest part, right? But I feel like we just really desire God to be glorified in this. And we know that even though we can't understand why some of these things happen, that they were for a reason. And of course, God has been with us and led us through this journey for a reason. But a little bit of the story, we had a mold exposure in our old home. We unfortunately experienced a miscarriage, and we shortly after found out that the black mold was really severe all over the home, and my health had already been really declining at that point, and just experienced a really big crash after that. And kind of just the difficult thing about this journey and just the isolation and hardship that goes on with any illness is there were just a lot of things that really spiraled for me. The mold really amplified and caused a lot of issues with just my toxicity bucket overflowing, and a lot of underlying infections and different things that went on. And this has been a really hard and long journey of healing and recovery. And even though, it has been truly really, really hard and something that we never thought we would walk through in the early years of marriage, especially, we just, have seen God move in so many ways, even from us being able to move to this new beautiful home and just the timing of everything, as well as, bringing people into our life, our amazing counselors who, I'm not going to cry, but you know who you are, who had just poured into us, our biblical counselors who really walked us through so much in our marriage and just helped guide us in truth during this time that was really, really hard. As well as obviously our friends and family that were there praying for us and just with us. And so it has been just a long period of healing and recovery. And I think some of our, crushed dreams per se of we wanted to get married and we thought, kind of the time when you just think, oh, my body's going to be in perfect condition and then we're just going to have a family. And that was when my body crashed, and so just a lot of hardship in that. But I want to move forward now. Nick will talk a little bit more about, why, just more of our heart for adoption, why we're choosing to do this.
Awesome. So now we're going to kind of take you guys through a little bit of just our heart behind why we are doing adoption. And I know I mentioned in the very beginning that we felt called by the Lord. We really have felt called as a family from beginning days. Even when we were dating, we really felt the tug on our hearts that adoption would be part of our story. And so God has called us today. We feel like right now this is the time, and we feel at peace with it and are really just excited to step into it. And some of the things that God has really revealed in our hearts through that process of getting us to this point, and more of why we really think this is such a big piece of our story and something that we're really passionate about is really just a few things. Obviously, there's a lot more depth to some of them, but we really just ultimately want to be obedient to the Lord's call on our life and obedient to His will, to really, as I've already mentioned, to give Him all the glory and to really have a chance to grow our faith, grow in our trust with Him. As you can tell, this process is really, there's a few things that we have control over, but ultimately a lot that we don't. And so we're really just excited to grow in our faith and our walk with Him and just say yes and be obedient. And then on top of that, really just wanting to be an example and really display God's love and His redemption and His restoration, and really display that through our journey into adoption, that we've experienced God's grace and His love in our lives, and we just want to be an extension of that through this process to both the birth family, but also the adoptee, the child that we eventually bring into our home. We just want this to be a place where God's love and grace are showered upon all of them included, and also even the people outside of the adoption itself. We want our friends and family, those of you that we're sending this to really be a part of that and get to experience God's love through this and have Him move in your lives as well, because we know that as you're praying with us that He'll do things in your lives and answer prayers for you, and you'll just get to experience this alongside of us. And then really the last thing is, tied in with that is really just a chance to minister to the birth family, getting a chance to connect with them and walk through the birth family in this process before the actual adoption, and just getting to share more of who, our heart behind it and who we are, and getting to know them, building a relationship, and just loving on them through the whole process from today all the way to, the kid growing up and graduating college, being able to stand there with them and developing that amazing connection. So it's a beautiful thing, and we're excited to press in.
Yeah, that's so good. And I just wanted to kind of share as well, I feel like sometimes we grow up and maybe our impression of adoption is just that it's like a secretive thing, and maybe that's how we've thought about it. And in reality, even just walking through this and how Nick mentioned, we've just seen how there's so much beauty in open adoption. And even though it seems really scary or just a lot of unknowns, really there's such an opportunity, and it's just such a beautiful thing to be able to see it as a ministry opportunity. And also just for the health of the child, right? Like they've done a lot of studies of just how much more, healthy it is for the child to be told some of these things early on and not kind of kept secretive or in the dark. And so even just being able for them to have the knowledge that, we all loved you so much that we came together with your birth mom and birth dad, and we came up with a plan of how we could, give you the best care and life possible. And so just how much that is just really changes the narrative, and you get to see the beauty in that and how important that is. And another thing I'll add is, I think I have heard this too, that I think is kind of a really beautiful way to put it, but just how adoption is like a birth, a funeral, and a wedding. And really, it just shows like the complexity of it all and how much selfless love and sacrifice goes into this for, a child that has been born, and being able to place them in a loving home. And so birth, obviously a baby's being born, a wedding because, families coming together to make this decision, almost like a covenant, and a funeral because there is a grief and a loss that part of the adoption triage experiences. And this is really hard, and it's something that we can't even put words to, but it is a really big deal and a really big sacrifice that family makes. And so as one family gains like an incredible, beautiful gift, another one does experience a loss. And so we want to love on them and, share the gospel with them, be a light in any way that we can. So that's also kind of our heart behind it.
Okay, guys, now we're just going to take a minute here at the end to close out some closing thoughts and really just spend a little time talking about the commitment of adoption, which we have talked a little bit about already. But for those of you who don't know, or I'm sure a lot of you do know, that it is a large commitment for us to and for everyone involved, both with time, our resources, and just our life and our routines, but also financially. And so we will be both doing updates just through prayer requests and through specific prayer requests, and updating you along our journey if you want to be part of that. We may send out updates or do some regular distribution of that, and we will also attach a GoFundMe to this video when we release it and send it out to you guys and put it out there, just because we are really surrendered and asking the Lord to provide, and we want all of you to have the chance to be involved in this story that God is writing. So we invite you in to pray with us in this journey and pray for God to do marvelous things, and really to just show us more of who He is through this process. And we want you guys to also receive that blessing. And so that's why we really want to invite you in to be prayer partners. And if God puts it on your heart to give, then that will be a huge blessing. But we just want to invite you in general sense to be a part of God's story that He's writing for our family, but also for your families. And so we just thank you guys.
Yeah, so thank you guys for just walking alongside us in this journey. We're really grateful for just all of you checking in on us and even just asking how we're doing. All of that has meant so much to us, even throughout the last few years. And so we just want to thank you for that. And we are just really excited to see what God will do. He has blown us away in this, this entire journey, and how, even the people He's brought in our lives, even the direction that He's led us in, how He's changed our hearts throughout all of this, and even just the journey in my own health journey that I went through, now being able to serve and guide others in my job, and being able to empathize with them, and, knowing what they're walking through because I've walked through that fire. And so we just thank the Lord for how He has grown us in our marriage as well in just a lot of ways. And now we're excited to see what He does through this journey. So thank you guys. We will have, different ways you can continue to pray with us. And we love you guys. We're so grateful for your support, and we will keep you guys updated.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
We love you. Love you. Bye.